the risk of something much, much worse than January the 6th, I think, is quite high. And that could play into UK politics. And maybe it'll make people think, I need to hang on to the Conservative government right now because, I can't risk change when, the whole world could be blowing up thanks to what's going on in the US. But I guess I think that's probably a very marginal effect. And they're probably...
Sorry, Jerry, the risk of something happening like January 6th again is quite high.
Yeah. I think the basic problem we face is Trump will never accept he's lost. We've seen that. I mean, he just won't accept if he loses, he won't accept the result. And I think the other problem this time on the other, and to be fair, remember in 2016, a lot of Democrats didn't accept that Donald Trump had won. He lost the popular vote, and they also thought he was that Hillary Clinton should have won. So they didn't accept the result, and it's going to be worse this time around 2024 because of what Trump did last time in 2020.
I mean, Jerry, is this the climate that we're to expect when a sitting president calls a former president a loser? And is it going to get worse?
Yes. To all of the above, that is setting the tone for 2024. Look, Joe Biden, a number of things to say, really. Joe Biden is in deep trouble politically, electorally. Polling is very, very poor for him. He trails Donald Trump in the head-to-head race, which is something he's never done. Donald Trump is actually doing better in the polls than he's ever done. Even when he was running in 2016, the first time, Trump is doing well. He's not a mile ahead. He's 2 or 3 points ahead, but that's better than he's ever been, and certainly enough to give him a victory in November. So Biden's approval ratings are terrible. He's in deep trouble. People don't like the economy. They're worried about immigration. Everything is very, very bleak. And of course, they think he's way too old to be president, that he's way past it, and that, he's going to be well into his 80s if he finishes his next term. Voters don't simply are very, very, very dissatisfied with him. So the one thing I think Joe Biden knows that he has still is a lot of voters in the middle ground are still very uneasy about Donald Trump, and particularly what happened on January the 6th and how Donald Trump denied the result of the last election. That, frankly, is Joe Biden's card. It's the only remaining card, I think, in his pack. Maybe the abortion card too. We can maybe talk about that tonight or some other time. But the card that he has in his pack that can, if I dare say it, is the sort of Trump card, is the one that says Donald Trump is not only a loser, but also someone who tried to overturn the Constitution and is basically a threat to democracy. And that does cut some ice with some people. I think the problem, however, is, and it's quite interesting, Mitt Romney, who is no friend of Donald Trump and actually voted to convict Donald Trump when he was impeached after January the 6th, Mitt Romney, the Republican senator from Utah, put this quite well. He said, I just don't think this is going to work anymore, this constantly harping on about January the 6th. And by the way, let me just say quickly, and this is not a kind of throat-clearing exercise, what happened on January 6th was disgraceful, was terrible. Donald Trump's role in it was terrible. He certainly should have been impeached. He was impeached. In my view, he should have been convicted. We are now 3 years beyond that. People are facing a whole set of different challenges with the economy, with immigration, some of the other things I've talked about. I don't think that for Biden, this constantly hammering on and essentially, rightly as you say, Kate, turning 2024 into a very, very, very personal campaign, warning about the threat to democracy that Donald Trump poses. I just don't think that's going to convince enough people.
It doesn't feel new enough, does it?
Made up their mind.
It doesn't. But yet we are talking about it again because Donald Trump's facing so much legal action over it. So it is still, part of the conversation, I suppose. And as he goes through the various bits of litigation that he's got to go through, we are going to hear it. And there are obviously arguments for him being taken off ballot papers for primaries, etc. So it is swirling round, but it is perhaps not kind of new enough. Maybe people have switched off to that argument.
But I think he's right that that in terms of the impact from firstly there will be attention paid. This is very interesting. Okay, it's actually the last time that the two elections, that the election in the UK and the US occurred so close together was 1964. When Lyndon Johnson was elected in the US and Harold Wilson was elected in the UK, about a month apart. And we could be seeing something quite similar this time. Is there any significance to that? Frankly, probably not. As you say, I don't think a lot of people over here pay a lot of attention over there. I take Nikki's point that the sort of sense of chaos, and I think, there's a real risk here that, Again, if it's another close election, which I fear it probably will be here, if we think, as I think there's a very good chance it will be, somebody, whoever wins is going to somehow, certainly if Trump loses, he's not going to accept the result again. The risk of something much, much worse than January the 6th, I think, is quite high. And that could play into UK politics. And maybe it'll make people think, I need to hang on to the Conservative government right now because, I can't risk change when, the whole world could be blowing up thanks to what's going on in the US. But I guess I think that's probably a very marginal effect, and
sorry, Jerry. The risk of something happening like January the 6th again is quite high.
Yeah, I think the basic problem we face is Trump will never accept he's lost. We've seen that. I mean, he just won't accept if he loses. He won't accept the result. And I think the other problem this time on the other, and to be fair, remember in 2016, a lot of Democrats didn't accept that Donald Trump had won. He lost the popular vote, and they also thought that Hillary Clinton should have won. So they didn't accept the result, and it's going to be worse this time around 2024 because of what Trump did last time in 2020, and because there's a pretty good chance that he will have been tried and possibly even convicted in at least one of these trials. Remember, one of the things we're seeing at the moment here, Kate, is this extraordinary attempt to actually pick Donald Trump off the ballot in state after state on the grounds that he took part in an insurrection on January the 6th. Now, that's an extraordinary thing to do. But it shows you how Democrats, and these are all Democrats doing this, how Democrats view Donald Trump. So I think the big risk is we get to the election day. It's a close result. Whoever loses won't really accept the result. Biden might accept the result if he loses, because he'll probably, to be honest, be quite good to head off quite happy to.
And he'll make a point of accepting it.
Supporters will say Donald Trump is illegitimate. He cannot be allowed to be president of the United States.
Super interesting.
We've got real trouble. We've got real trouble on the other side.
Well, look, we will build up on the show to next week. We've got the Iowa Republican caucuses. That's Monday, Jan 15th. And the New Hampshire primaries on Tuesday, Jan 23rd. Two really important states, and important to look at both of those. So, exciting stuff. It feels like it's building up, and that is the effect of these early, primaries and caucuses in terms of the build up towards the US election.